Platinum Sponsor Pertamina melalui Pertamina Hulu Energi sebagai subholding upstream. Gold Sponsors BP Indonesia, Mubadala Petroleum, Medco Energi, Schlumberger. Silver Sponsors Chevron, ExxonMobil, Inpex, Petronas, Premier Oil, A Harbor Energy Company. Bronze Sponsor Repsol, supported by Indonesian Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources and Special Task Force for Upstream Oil and Gas Business Activities. Organized by Indonesian Petroleum Association and co-organized by Diandra Promosindo. Platinum Sponsor Pertamina melalui Pertamina Hulu Energi sebagai subholding upstream. Gold Sponsors BP Indonesia, Mubadala Petroleum, Medco Energi, Schlumberger. Silver Sponsors Chevron, ExxonMobil, Inpex, Petronas, Premier Oil, A Harbor Energy Company. Bronze Sponsor Repsol, supported by Indonesian Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources and Special Task Force for Upstream Oil and Gas Business Activities. Organized by Indonesian Petroleum Association and co-organized by Diandra Promosindo. Platinum Sponsor Pertamina melalui Pertamina Hulu Energi sebagai subholding upstream. Gold Sponsors BP Indonesia, Mubadala Petroleum, Medco Energi, Schlumberger. Silver Sponsors Chevron, ExxonMobil, Inpex, Petronas, Premier Oil, A Harbor Energy Company. Bronze Sponsor Repsol, supported by Indonesian Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources and Special Task Force for Upstream Oil and Gas Business Activities. Organized by Indonesian Petroleum Association and co-organized by Diandra Promosindo. Platinum Sponsor Pertamina melalui Pertamina Hulu Energi sebagai subholding upstream. Gold Sponsors BP Indonesia, Mubadala Petroleum, Medco Energi, Schlumberger. Silver Sponsors Chevron, ExxonMobil, Inpex, Petronas, Premier Oil, A Harbor Energy Company. Bronze Sponsor Repsol, supported by Indonesian Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources and Special Task Force for Upstream Oil and Gas Business Activities. Organized by Indonesian Petroleum Association and co-organized by Diandra Promosindo. Platinum Sponsor Pertamina melalui Pertamina Hulu Energi sebagai subholding upstream. Gold Sponsors BP Indonesia, Mubadala Petroleum, Medco Energi, Schlumberger. Silver Sponsors Chevron, ExxonMobil, Inpex, Petronas, Premier Oil, A Harbor Energy Company. Bronze Sponsor Repsol, supported by Indonesian Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources and Special Task Force for Upstream Oil and Gas Business Activities. Organized by Indonesian Petroleum Association and co-organized by Diandra Promosindo. Platinum Sponsor Pertamina melalui Pertamina Hulu Energi sebagai subholding upstream. Gold Sponsors BP Indonesia, Mubadala Petroleum, Medco Energi, Schlumberger. Silver Sponsors Chevron, ExxonMobil, Inpex, Petronas, Premier Oil, A Harbor Energy Company. Bronze Sponsor Repsol, supported by Indonesian Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources and Special Task Force for Upstream Oil and Gas Business Activities. Organized by Indonesian Petroleum Association and co-organized by Diandra Promosindo.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Selamat siang, and welcome to the afternoon session of the first day of the 45th IPA conference. And as always, I hope everybody is in good health and spirit in these very challenging times. My name is Nada Zaki, one of the IPA board members, and I'm the president of BP in Indonesia, and I'm the group senior vice president for Asia Pacific. I would like to extend a warm welcome for all guests and participants who are joining online. And of course, welcome to our distinguished speakers. Before we go into the plenary session today, we will have the opportunity to have Ibu Nika Widiawati, the President Director of Pertamina, kicking us off with the keynote speech. Thank you, Ibu Nika. It is a great honor to have you here. On the plenary session, we have an excellent mix of speakers, very knowledgeable from government representatives, investors, contractor, and also professional body representation. We're definitely bound to have a very good discussion today. So joining us today on the panel will be Pak Tutuka Aryaji, Director General of Oil and Gas, Pak Dwi Sochiputu, Chairman of SKK Migas, Pak Febri Kachraibu, Head of Fiscal Policy Agency, Pak Artiza Sayed, President of ExxonMobil, and Pak Hadi Somoyo, Secretary General of IITME. And also we are lucky to have Pak Leonard Samos here, a well-known economic journalist who will moderate this session for us and making sure we are getting the most out of these distinguished speakers, and more importantly, making sure that we leave this session with a much better understanding on where we are right now and what we do in our capacity to help the country reach the goal of 1 million barrel of oil and 12 billion standard cubic feet of gas per day. This goal was when it was announced in 2019 by SKK Migas, it was definitely a very thought-provoking target for all stakeholders, and we definitely need all hands on deck to achieve this target and to reverse the currently declining production. Some may say that production rebound is always impossible, but data actually shows otherwise. There are multiple great examples globally. Indonesia actually in the late 80s with the Sumatra enhanced oil recovery. We have also multiple examples like the US shale revolution, and also in places like Russia, Oman, and Egypt, where I come from, all experienced a successful production rebound. With less than 9 years to go, we need a progressive and also performing stakeholders in this sector. And we all recently saw that Pak Dwi has given a special gift on Indonesia Independence Day by announcing 100% reserves replacement ratio for 2021. And I'm proud to say that BP is very honored to be the one that closed actually the loop to the 100% by the approval of its plan of development for Ubadari field development and for Wata field CCUS project, serving as the first enhanced gas recovery project in Indonesia. This is an exciting project with an estimated capital of $2 billion that will be spent over the next 3 to 4 years. That has two objectives: increasing production to fully utilize the 3 train LNG capacity, as well as eliminating reservoir CO2 emissions. This marks the continued vote of confidence from global investors like BP in the future of Indonesia energy landscape. So a big thank you to Pak Dwi and to the SKK team for their massive contribution and teamwork, which allowed granting this plan of development approval in the record time. And I'm actually mentioning this example because it shows that things are changing in the right direction very quickly. And the long waiting for plan of development approval is actually in the past. The present and future is more leaner, faster moving decision-making process. And that's exactly what we need to realize the country production aspiration. Before we start, I would like to thank our platinum sponsor, Pertamina, our gold sponsor, Medco, BP, Schlumberger, and Mubadala Petroleum, silver sponsors, Impex, Premier Oil, Petronas, ExxonMobil, and Chevron, and our bronze sponsor, Repsol. Now over to you, Ibu Nika. The stage is all yours. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. His Excellency President of Republic of Indonesia, Bapak Joko Widodo. The Distinguished Coordination Minister of Maritime Affairs and Investment, Bapak Luhut Binsar Panjaitan, Minister of Energy and Mineral Resources, Bapak Arifin Tasrif, the Ministers and Vice Ministers of Kabinet Indonesia Maju, Director General of Oil and Gas, Bapak Tutuka Aryaji, Chairman of SKK Migas, Bapak Dwi Sucipto and other speakers of plenary session, Presidents and General Manager of Oil and Gas Company and supporting service companies, the IPA Board of Directors, IPA members and colleagues, and all distinguished participants who have logged into IPA Convex 2021 virtually today. Good afternoon. I am Nika Widiawati, the CEO of Pertamina. It is my pleasure to share with you today our vision to become a world-class national energy company and how we are going to navigate our effort to achieve the national production target of 1 million barrel oil per day and 12 BCF gas per day in 2030. Along with corporate restructuring, now Pertamina's Upstream Subholding officially manages 5 regions and 2 upstream service companies. This region covers Sumatra area, including our newest family member, Rokan, West and Central Java, as well as Natuna area, Kalimantan, East Java and Eastern Indonesia. The last region handles international assets covering 27 blocks in 4 different continents. The organization of Pertamina's Upstream Subholding has been officially in place. Since then, several improvements have been observed, particularly in terms of efficiency and effectivity with more integrated operation. With leaner, more agile, and efficient organization, Pertamina's Upstream Subholding is on the right track to become the center of excellence and the best in class in the oil and gas industry. The new organization allows better synergy and integration among working areas within each region. Approval process for project investment has been streamlined, resulting in much faster process while maintaining the quality of review. As much as 25 final investment decisions have been approved until July 2021. This is an excellent achievement compared to the last 4 years' history. So, it will drive to the increase of current and future upstream investment for Indonesia. On top of those improvements, Pertamina's Upstream Subholding has also initiated Optimus, a cost optimization program. The integrated ecosystem in the new organization has accelerated the program to be executed effectively. The efficiency gained from this program will give us higher capacity to invest for future development projects. It is currently being extensively implemented across all regions. Furthermore, the program has induced cost optimization to become a new culture in organization. In order to ensure sustainability and growth, Pertamina implements 3 main strategies: managing existing assets, new venture exploration, and merger acquisition. Existing assets are the backbone of our production. Continuous efforts are done through the baseline optimization, acceleration of resources through production by doing massive and optimized field development, as well as EOR implementation and nearby exploration. New venture exploration and M&A are important for us to gain new reserves for replacing those being produced. Pertamina's oil and gas production are projected to continuously increase until 2030. Several major projects have been forecasted to actualize the projection. Jambaran Tiung Biru, which will be on stream in the coming months, Jerak Waterflood, optimizing field development of Sanga-Sanga, Rantau Waterflood, South Senoro, and North Senoro second phase are some of the major projects underway. With our strong portfolio, we are ready to give maximum contribution in achieving the national production target of 1 million barrel oil per day and 12 BCF gas per day in 2030. M&A is one of Pertamina's strategy to achieve the growth target to be global energy champion worth $100 billion in 2024. The strategy is implemented through the approaches: growing domestic presence, new venture exploration, and acquisition and strategic partnership. we have demonstrated our capability in operating and managing the challenges and global dynamic for more than 63 years of our existence. Along with our strong commitment to ESG implementation, Pertamina has determined 10 sustainability focuses that was developed based on UN SDGs, peer benchmark, as well as our internal aspiration. Among the 10 focuses, environmental protection as well as health, safety, and security play a major role, considering the inherent risks and impact that our business project toward the Earth. Therefore, we have and will always incorporate health, safety, security, and environment as our core culture in our activities. We also have targets related to zero accidents, zero fatality, provision of energy for community, zero unethical conduct of business, and zero harassment. In the environmental side, as a group, Pertamina has set a target of 30% emission reduction in 2030 versus our 2010 baseline. We are currently evaluating a more ambitious emission reduction target. Consequently, every line of business in Pertamina, including upstream, must contribute to achieve our existing and future target. In our upstream operation, we ensure that our produced water is carefully treated before it is released to the environment. Furthermore, in some fields, the treated produced water is reinjected back to the reservoir. We are implementing energy efficiency and flaring optimization across our working areas. Also, we are currently at the evaluation stage of implementing CCUS method and technology to reduce carbon emission as well as to boost our production. And last but not least, aside of solar cell, we are also promoting the utilization of gas for our own energy use. We believe gas is the solution for transitioning into greener business, considering its lower emission compared to other fossil energies. To quickly recap, I would like to emphasize several important points. Oil will remain an important energy source in the coming years to fulfill the nation's energy demand, particularly in transportation and petrochemical sectors. As the cleanest fossil fuel, gas can play a key role in energy transition. ESG implementation, including safety and environment protection, is our priority to ensure the business sustainability. The implementation of upstream subholding in Pertamina creates better efficiency and more integrated operation, which is reflected by excellent financial performance in 2021. Cost optimization in large scale is important to maintain production and operation in major fields and increase the resilience against oil price volatility. Support from government and other stakeholders is essential for Pertamina in the effort to contribute to achieve the national production target and at the same time bring Pertamina to become a world-class national energy company. Let's go hand in hand in this collective effort to achieve the national production target 1 million barrel oil per day and 12 BCF gas per day in 2030. I would like to thank you for your time and attention today. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Kebutuhan energi yang bersumber dari minyak dan gas bumi diproyeksikan kian meningkat seiring upaya pemerintah mendorong pertumbuhan ekonomi. Oleh karena itu, sejak 2019, pemerintah menggulirkan target produksi minyak sebesar 1 juta barel per hari dan gas sebesar 12 miliar standar kaki kubik per hari yang akan dicapai pada 2030. Target tersebut tentunya dapat diwujudkan melalui eksplorasi yang masif dengan dukungan investasi yang besar. Sayangnya, selama periode 2015 sampai 2020, investasi hulu migas di Indonesia selalu meleset dari target, dengan rata-rata realisasi investasi sebesar 11,8 miliar dolar Amerika Serikat per tahun. Padahal, untuk memenuhi target produksi migas pada 2030 yang kurang dari 10 tahun lagi, dibutuhkan investasi sekitar 25 miliar dolar Amerika Serikat per tahunnya. Daya tarik investasi migas di Indonesia masih perlu ditingkatkan, karena para investor global kian selektif dalam menanamkan modalnya. Dari sisi fiskal misalnya, berdasarkan data Wood Mackenzie per kuartal 1 2020, skor tingkat daya tarik fiskal Indonesia berada di bawah rata-rata global. Upaya menciptakan iklim investasi migas yang atraktif perlu terus didorong, mengingat Indonesia masih memiliki potensi migas yang menjanjikan. Dengan komitmen yang kuat dan strategi yang tepat, niscaya target produksi migas nasional dapat tercapai.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for as the moderator for our first plenary session. And as mentioned by Mr. Zaki earlier, the Indonesian government is promoting a national energy security by targeting the production of 1 million barrels of oil per day and 12 billion standard cubic feet of gas per day by 2030. It's only 9 years from now. And this program was first announced in 2019 by the Special Task Force for Upstream Oil and Gas Business Activities, or more known as SKK Migas. And after 2020, oil and gas production are projected to continue to increase. Efforts to increase production certainly need to be supported by adequate investment. However, during the 2010 and 2019, investment in exploration work areas declined by an average of 23% per year. So this discussion session will discuss the development of the program of 1 million barrel oil per day production and 12 BSCFD gas production by 2030, which has been rolled out since 2009. What are the current achievements of the program, considering there is only 9 years left to achieve the target? So we will have 5 distinguished speakers. I would like to read their short bios. The first one will be Mr. Tutuka Aryaji, the Director General of Oil and Gas. Mr. Tutuka was appointed as Director General of Oil and Gas in November 2020. Was born in Solo in 1964. Obtained his master and doctoral degrees at Texas A&M University, United States of America in 1994 and 1996 respectively, and completed his bachelor degree at ITB in 1988. Mr. Tutuka is a professor at the Faculty of Mining and Petroleum Engineering with a group of expertise in drilling, production, and oil and gas management engineering. Mr. Tutuka will present the presentation, but the discussion session will be represented by Mr. Mustafid Gunawan, the Director of Upstream Oil and Gas Program Development. Mr. Mustafid Gunawan, promoted as the Director of Upstream Oil and Gas Program Development in 2018. Mr. Mustafid graduated from the UPN Veteran Yogyakarta in 1991 and Magister Economic of Public Policy and Planning in the University of Indonesia in 2007. He started his work in the Directorate General of Oil and Gas in 1992. Before being promoted to the Director of Upstream Oil and Gas Program Development, he was a Director of Oil and Gas Program Development and in 2018. And the second speaker will be Mr. Dwi Sucipto, Chairman of SKK Migas. Dwi Sucipto was inaugurated as the Chairman of SKK Migas on December 3rd, 2018. Prior to joining SKK Migas, Pak Dwi, Mr. Sucipto, held several top management roles in state-owned enterprises, served as President Director of PT Pertamina from 2014 to 2017, President Director of PT Semen Indonesia from 2013 to 2014, President Director of PT Semen Gresik 2005 to 2013, and President Director of PT Semen Padang 2003 to 2005. Pak Sucipto, born in 1955, managed to earn his bachelor degree in chemical engineering from ITS in 1980. In 2002, Pak Sucipto finished his master's study in management from Dallas. And in 2009, Pak Sucipto gained his doctorate degree from University of Indonesia. Our third speaker will be Mr. Robert, the Senior Policy Analyst in PKPN, or the Center of State Income. But I'm sorry, Mr. Robert, I will leave it to you to state your representation. And the fourth speaker will be Mr. Irtiza Sayed, President of ExxonMobil Indonesia. Mr. Irtiza was appointed as President of ExxonMobil Indonesia in December 2020. Mr. Irtiza joined ExxonMobil in 2006 in Houston, Texas, and has held a variety of management positions in the corporation's natural gas marketing and business development organizations, with portfolios covering Americas, Europe, Russia, Caspian, Middle East, and Asia Pacific. Mr. Irtiza has also held senior positions in corporate finance, strategic planning, and refining. And prior to joining ExxonMobil, he worked in industrial, healthcare, and banking. Mr. Irtiza holds a degree in engineering and an MBA. And Mr. Irtiza married with 2 daughters. Irtiza enjoys spending time with family and playing golf. I would like to be like you also, Mr. Irtiza. And last but not least, we will have the Secretary General of IATMI, Mr. Hadi Ismoyo, having more than 29 years of experience in the oil and gas industry. And before, Mr. Hadi was Senior VP Strategic Planning and Business Development in PT Petrogas Jatim Utama and President Director of PT Petrogas Pantai Madura from 2015 to 2019. Previously, Mr. Hadi Ismoyo worked at ARCO, known as BP. Mr. Zaki should know this, from 1992 and until 2005, then continued to PT Petrogas Jatim Utama Group, various organization position on IATMI since 1996 to 2006. Secretary General of IATMI since 2016 until now, General Chairperson of ITB Petroleum Engineering Alumni 2012 until now. So to start our discussion, I would like to give each panelist 5 minutes to present what will you have to state on our discussion. And the first I would like to give to Mr. Tutuka Aryaji.
Ladies and gentlemen, good day to you all. This time, we would like to present oil and gas business in Indonesia. As we may know that Indonesia has 128 basins and more than half of them have not been explored yet. The gas conditions is much better than oil. The production of the gas is much higher than consumption. We have discussed with some oil companies, 90 KKS, and we end up with this profile that we may achieve above 10 billion scarf per day. And we believe if we are committed to achieve that numbers, we can. Even though we have the profile, the production as shown on the right figure. We need to get together and to pursue this target. For the oil, I'm sure that everybody feels this is much harder. And with the same mechanism, we end up with that values. Well, it's quite below the 1 million barrel oil per day, but we're still optimistic because there are some open areas, that we are offering, and so we will offer it in the next couple of months. These figures consist of many activities, such as the existing wells, optimization of the existing fields, and then the undeveloped discovery, the existing POD that we have not been implemented yet, and then some advanced technologies such as EOR and unconventional hydrocarbon recovery. Okay, we can see from the right, that is the key projects that we, from the discussion, we put the priority. Yeah, so this is a kind of prime mover for the 1 million barrel per day targets. Those key projects together will contribute about 62% by year 2030. And this is the key strategies. So we encourage, we support the CKM gas and all the oil companies in Indonesia to do the commitments, to find, to discover innovations, to work together to achieve the targets of 1 million barrel per day and 12 billion scf per day of gas. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's the strategy. So, of course, the routines and then the transformation of resources to production and EOR, exploration. That's including the unconventional hydrocarbon recovery. And then we open and propose the new technology. And of course, we will simplify the procurement process. That's one of the major that we need to fix in order to speed up the process. So we do understand also that the regulations matters in this process. So we work together with IPA and other parties, and we realize also that we have the potential in non-conventional hydrocarbon. So we encourage to export and to exploit into production. And the key point in EOR is acceleration. So we need everybody, we need all parties to accelerate this process, such as the EOR, in addition to the Rokan steam flooding EOR, to increase the production. Okay, so in this matter, we also contribution of all companies in Indonesia to also consider the UR and CC or CCUS. In this terms, U is UR or EGR, enhanced gas recovery. So we really encourage the CCUS to be implemented in Indonesia. And also, of course, exploration is the key to increasing the national hydrocarbon production. Okay, there are some incentive to track oil gas production, as you can see in the list. And proof that we listened to the oil and gas community in Indonesia, such as IPA, that we improve the sharing split, the TMO price up to 100%, the reduction of shareable FTP to 10%, signature partners will be open with, and flexibility in choosing the the scheme, the form of the contracts. Especially today and the future, we need to do as the IPA suggests. We do agree that striking the balance between increasing oil and gas production and carbon emission targets will be the strategy that we need to do. And for that, we need to maintain the national security and reducing dependence on import. However, promotion of low emission technology and innovative approach to reduce emission are necessary, including deployment of carbon capture, storage and utilization, and high CO2 content oil and gas fields. Maximizing energy efficiency measures on all activities, including reducing flaring and venting, implementation of carbon cap and trade initiatives, and promotion of carbon offsetting. So those approach we will do together along the pursuing the targets of 1 million barrel per day and 12 billion scarf per day of oil of gas. Next. Okay, that's the speaker tells us that we have some storage in throughout the country, especially the west and central of Indonesia, and we have identified that the potential of the storage capacity is about 1.5 gigaton of CO2, and we need to study in detail, more detail in this, and we will right now we are in the project of stored CO2 and the potential of about 50 million ton of CO2 for those three projects. So according along the line of reduce CO2 emission reduction, we propose to make the regulation, MEMR regulation number 31, that says to provide more rigid flaring boundaries and classify flaring events with the aim of obtaining comprehensive flaring routine data and mapping the potential of formalization of flaring. So this is finished, and we will make a socialization. Next. And that's all. So hopefully what we are presenting now is fruitful for you, and we are ready to work together to achieve the 1 million barrel per day of oil and 12 billion scarf per day of gas in year 2030, starting now. Thank you very much for the attention, and have a good time in the IPA conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tutuka Aryaji, the Director General of Oil and Gas. Very interesting presentation. We would like to explore it more with Mr. Mustafid Gunawan afterwards. And I would like to remind you, participants, to submit your questions through the Q&A column in this Zoom meeting. And you would like to, if you would like to have an interpretation from English to Bahasa, you can read it how to make it through the chat message. The committee has submit a chat message for you to have interpretation into Bahasa. And it is very interesting to know, but we would like to know more from SKK Migas. I would like to give the opportunity for Mr. Dwi Sucipto, Pak Dwi, Please give us some more detailed explanation on how we achieve that very optimistic target. Pak Dwi, you have approximately 5 minutes from now.
Okay, I hope I can fulfill that one. Thank you, Bang Leo, our Honorable Director General of Oil and Gas, Prof. Tutuko Aryaji, and my colleagues, Pak Mustafid Gunawan, Head of BKF, Bapak Fabio Nathan Kacaribu, which is represented by Pak Robert, President of ExxonMobil Indonesia, Mr. Irtiza Sayed, Secretary General of IAPMI, Mr. Hadi Ismoyo, and ladies and gentlemen, the 45 IPA Convex participants. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon for everybody. On this opportunity, as mentioned by Bang Leo as a moderator, I would like to briefly about the progress of our long-term plan to reach 1 million barrel oil per day of oil and 12 billion standard cubic feet per day of gas by 2030, which pandemic COVID-19, which has forced many countries to put in interaction, has impacted many industries, including upstream oil and gas industry. And globally, as we know, capital investment is cut around 25 to 30% in 2020, and also some oil and gas activities such as drilling and project development have been delayed or cancelled. So evaluation on this impact of pandemic COVID-19 and some other recent development in oil and gas industry to our long-term plan have been conducted. From this result, we are still optimistic that we still can reach our long-term plan target. We surely need to intensify and accelerate work program to catch up some activities that has been delayed. And also we need some enabler to monetize additional resources from unconventional resources and open area exploration. We are very optimistic because we have strong support from our government. As we know, Bapak Presiden of Indonesia, in his state speech on August 16, 2021, has restated our long-term plan target and some strategies and enablers to reach it, which included regulation and fiscal term improvement. Honorable ladies and gentlemen, our first long-term plan strategy is to improve existing asset value. For this year, we are targeting to drill 616 wells, which is a significant increase from last year, which were 240 wells. This target is also above from our original LTP target. For next year, we have secured around 714 wells, which is also above original long-term plan target around 600 wells. We have secured early investment at Wekarokan, which is a major contributor to our oil production by having drilling commitment of 276 wells and more. This early investment commitment is very important to sustain oil production during handover of the working area. Last but not least, we also have run filling the gap program to reduce current year production gap, which were projected can reach up to 5,000 barrels per day by end of year. Ladies and gentlemen, with regards to our second strategy, which is resource to production transformation or acceleration, we are targeting to reach reserve replacement ratio more than 100% each year. Last year, the reserve replacement ratio was 102%, and this year R3 is projected to be around 240%, which is equal to 659 million barrels of oil equivalent of reserve addition. Some of these reserves are coming from undeveloped structure, such as Ubadari, Porel, Boronang, and etc. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our third strategy is EOR. The biggest contributor of production from EOR will come from chemical EOR project at top. And therefore, at the moment, we are focusing on this project. Plan of development Minas Chemical EOR Phase 1 is estimated to be approved on December 2021, which is faster than original plan on 2020. Moreover, study to reevaluate existing PUD and new steam plant project is on progress and is expected to be finalized on Q4 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, on our fourth strategy, which is exploration for giant discovery, until end of July this year, we have drilled 16 out of 48 wells, and we have also conducted 2D seismics, which cover 1,917 kilometers long, and 3D seismic, which cover area of 733 kilometers square. We have also made significant progress on our big exploration program, which include subvolcanic fibrosis, pseudo 3D reprocessing, and airborne FPG survey. We are also developing oil and gas unconventional strategy, which includes regulation that can accelerate unconventional oil and gas development. Honorable ladies and gentlemen, that is my brief initial remark. I hope that it will trigger a productive discussion ahead. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr. Dwi Sucipto, for your brief but yet really detailed update or progress from what SK Kamigas has been doing to achieve the target of 1 million barrel oil per day. And we would like to know to the next panelist. We will have Mr. Robert, I mentioned earlier, from the Ministry of Finance. Mr. Robert is the Senior Policy Analyst from State Revenue Policy of the Fiscal Policy Agency. Am I right, Mr. Robert? Or please, all right. And we would like to know how much incentives, some players will tell this to me, how much incentives will the government of Indonesia give for the investors, for businesses now? Please, Mr. Robert, put your presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, my head of IPA sent his regret cannot attend this important meeting because of his cannot be replaceable. So he sent me to represent him to tell about the fiscal incentive to offer. Is there a paparan my? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Next. Yeah. Next. Okay, before I try to tell about the fiscal policy. Let me tell about the COVID-19 things now. In global now, COVID is in 7 days last is increasing, but in Indonesia the COVID is downward trend. So it is a positive way, so that our economy will be hitting again. Next. And if we see the global economy, IMF projection now in 2001, the world economy said the projection is 6%, and 2002 the forecast is 4.9. And in regional, USA, Europe, and also Asia is growing up in 2001 and 2002 in forecast, because of many countries now speed up the vaccine, so that the economy will be increasing. Next. So how about Indonesia? Indonesia, the country has been evident that the consumption, investment, export, and import is relative high growth. And in quarter 2 to 2001, we have a 7.0 economic growth. And the growth is heavily rely on the state budget. And state budget plays a major role in accelerating economic recovery. So our fiscal policy, to be a counter-cyclical fiscal policy, is effective to support the pandemic handling and maintaining the momentum of economic recovery. And the government continue to protect vulnerable people and highly effective business. Next. And to keep the momentum for sustainable economic recovery to be 6.5 in 2025, Indonesia has a structural reform strategy, which is there is three focus the reform strategy, which is the downstreaming commodities and industrialization, which is nickel, bauxite, palm oil. We go to digitalization, about digital infrastructure and e-commerce, and the last is green economy. So our government now commit to net zero emission, and also commit to reduce the emission, and also about the rise the renewable energy. Next. And in Ministry of Finance aware that in order to keep the momentum, we still need energy security, and also we keep energy transition 2000 until 2050. So now we keep the striking balance between how to keep the energy security, and also we go to energy transition 2015. So between to support investment climate in both area is our concern now. Next. And we aware that the upstream oil and gas has a critical role in Indonesia economy. So in 2022, the share to GDP is 2.2% of GDP, and state revenue we have a 102.9 trillion rupiah, and export oil and gas in 2002 is 8.3 billion. So it is not including the multiplying effect for national industry. We expect that a significant significant change in energy mix to achieve national energy policy objective. So the share of renewable energy will reach 23% in 2025 and 31% in 2050. So and then if we see share of oil and gas in energy mix will decline, but we see that the volume of oil and gas will be still increasing. So we have to keep the supply of energy. Next. So at the awareness, we realize that we still need the oil and gas investment in Indonesia. So if we want to increase the production, so we have to increase the investment also. But again, at the same time, we need to strike the right balance with the fulfillment of national commitment and energy security. So oil and gas investment and also renewable energy investment is also important to us. Next. So if we see about the oil and gas contribution and fiscal spend on budget, 2016 to 2020 is up and down. In 2018 to 2020 is a downward trending because of the ICP price, and 2002 has the lowest price is $40.4 per barrel. So we hope in 2020 the oil and gas contribution on fiscal budget will be high because the price of ICP now is increasing. We have targeted in 1 year is 63.8 dollar per barrel. So in order to keep the on fiscal budget have a keep important roles, we have to increase the production and increase the investment. So in 1 million barrel oil per day and 12 billion is important strategy to make the oil and gas contribution in fiscal budget is achieved. Next. So now nowadays we have actually there is a 3 fiscal term in upstream oil and gas. But before talking about the 3 fiscal term, there is a principle in Indonesia about fiscal term in upstream oil and gas, which is we have a net government take. So the important about net government take, we have a block basis, we have a contract entity, and we have one contract and one block. So we have under the contract until the end of the contract. So fiscal term apply on block basis system and not POD system. So the meaning the state revenue obligation applies to all production field. So now about the existing fiscal terms, we move from the assume and discharge principle to the prevailing law with the tax incentive and also non-tax incentive. Now the existing, as we all know, we have tax incentive, which is indirect and also non-tax revenue. Next. And in IPA term of reference said that from the expert view, how to increase oil and gas investment, we have to improve the fiscal term. So from Boston Consulting said, we have to prove profit sharing scheme flexibility, tax relief, tax incentive, and DMO price flexibility. And from Institute for Economic and Community Research, we have to improve the bidding scheme in determining profit sharing and improving fiscal provision on CIT. So actually, from the existing now, the view of expert view is actually we can achieve with customize all the variable of the fiscal incentive itself. So we still hand in hand and with SKK and DG Oil and Gas to formula how best the fiscal incentives could be offered to investors, so that the investor wants to invest in Indonesia, invest in Indonesia. So now we see that from the profit sharing, the profit sharing from cost recovery must be negotiable, and from the previous explanation from oil and gas, the profit sharing from the 80-20 to 55 to 45.
Mr. Robert, you will have only 1 minute left, sir.
Okay. So this is the existing. Now, what next, Minister of Finance to do next? So the way forward to encourage upstream oil gas investment in Indonesia. Now we established the Indonesia Investment Authority, or INA, to active funding source in domestic funding, so that domestic funding will can get the potential funding in domestic. So, and we have the omnibus law and other bureaucracy. Now we still conducting study and discussion with the stakeholder, with DG Oil and Gas and SKK about some incentive to boost the exploration investment in Indonesia, which is, for example, do we have to revisit assume and discharge principle? We have to extend indirect tax exemption until the end of contract, and tax exemption on gross profit for reinvested income. So we still conduct a study. So we hope we have a good we will have a good information next about our next package to increase the investment. I think that's our explanation about the investment, about incentive in Ministry of Finance field. Thank you.
Mr. Robert from the Ministry of Finance. Actually, I would like to know some more concrete fiscal incentives, and I believe more concrete numbers will make Mr. Irtiza and smile more. But now we would like to know from Mr. Irtiza Zayed, one of the biggest player in oil industry in Indonesia now. Mr. Irtiza, please present your presentation approximately 5 minutes from now. Please, sir.
Thank you, Pa Leonard, for the warm welcome and the introduction earlier. Yong Terhormat, Director General of Oil and Gas, Pa Tutuka, Chairman of SKK Migas, Pa Dwi Sujipto, Head of Fiscal Policy Agency, Pa Febrio Kartu Ribu, who is represented by Pa Robert, President, Director, and CEO, PT Pertamina, Ibu Nika Widiawati, Secretary General, Pa Hadi Esmoyo, distinguished participants, Assalamu alaikum, Selamat siang. The theme of this session, the road to 1 million barrels of oil per day and 12 BCFD of gas per day, could not be more relevant in describing the current challenges we're all facing and how to navigate them. Our industry dramatic changes over the last 15 years. There have been new supplies enabled by new technologies such as unconventionals in the US, the ongoing disruption of the industry caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, and a global focus on the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. I believe partnership is what will enable us to achieve the objective of producing 1 million barrels a day and 12 BCFD of gas. And this is what I would like to talk to you about today. For Indonesia to compete globally in attracting investments in the energy sector is going to take an unprecedented all stakeholders. In order to unlock opportunities and invest in the high-risk, capital-intensive, and long-cycle business, fiscal and commercial innovation is paramount. Hence, partnerships are needed between the private and public sector, state-owned enterprises, and private companies in order to take on this extraordinary challenge. To do this, it starts with understanding each other's needs. Based on our long history and global experience, countries seek investors who have requisite expertise in developing national resources safely and efficiently while advancing their national objectives. The ideal investors bring capital, facilitate knowledge transfer to local companies, develop local talent, enable supply chain development and local content, promote social programs in health, education, economic development. Investments can create a natural multiplier effect beyond the dollars directly invested into a given project. I'm glad to report that our oil production from the Banyu Urip and Kudung fields continue to produce up to 220,000 barrels of oil per day, or around 30% of Indonesia's oil production, with world-class safety and one of the most cost-efficient operations with operating costs of $2 per barrel. We have also doubled Banyu Urip's field's recoverable reserve from 450 million barrels to 940 million barrels. By the end of this month, inshallah, we will reach total cumulative production of 500 million barrels. This is an incredible achievement when compared to the original plan of development of 450 million barrels to the end of the PSC in 2035. These are great achievements and milestones which all parties involved have benefited from. Since startup in January of 2016, production rate was increased by 30% to 225,000 barrels per day from 165,000 barrels per day estimate at POD. Production plateau has also been extended to more than 5 years versus the original plan of development, which contemplated only 2 years. Ladies and gentlemen, the Banyu Urip project was built by a consortium of 5 Indonesian companies. These companies subcontracted the work to hundreds of local companies, which created many jobs. ExxonMobil also hired the best local talent for our plant operations. We selected trainees, mostly youth from neighboring villages from which our operations are located. The best of these individuals were selected for expatriate rotational assignments in our operations around the world to train alongside our global workforce. They are now back in Indonesia and operating the Banyu Urip facility. Such a credit to their family and community, and a true example of the future leaders we're developing. In 2021, Banyu Urip production has now started to simply due to the natural reservoir characteristics, which are common globally. We're making every effort to reduce the decline rate and option through various reservoir management techniques. Additionally, we're in discussions with MEMR and SKK Migas to finalize plans for additional exploration within the Cepu block to support the 2030 national production targets. All of this success has been supported tremendously under the leadership of Minister Pa Arifin Tasrif, the Director General Migas, Pa Tutuka, and of course, Chairman of SKK Migas, Pa Dwi Sujipto, as well as local government leaders and other key stakeholders. On the community front, our programs focus on healthcare, education, and economic development. These have touched the lives of hundreds of thousands of Indonesians. One of our signature community programs is in biogas, transforming cattle waste to meet household energy needs for lighting and cooking, which has benefited families in the neighboring villages around Banyu Urip. Now our neighbors can enjoy a cheap, renewable source of energy for cooking and lighting. This is such a rewarding program for ExxonMobil to be involved in. I'm also proud of my team's outstanding performance and resilience during one of the most challenging periods we have faced as an industry. Their dedication and commitment towards safe and flawless operations while making personal sacrifices during the COVID-19 pandemic challenges has been second to none. Alhamdulillah, we've had 0 recordable safety incidents this year. This is a true testament of our world-class Indonesian workforce as production, operations, and safety investors look for prior to making investments in a country. Investors have to prioritize capital spending based on opportunities available to them globally. In the current challenging global environment, opportunities exceed total available funding. This means that countries are competing for capital globally, and investors are pursuing projects in countries which provide the highest returns balanced with the greatest ease of doing business. Both investors and countries must select each other wisely, as these are long. The success of a project is measured in the strength of the partnership between the investor and the host government. A stable economic and political environment with sound regulations and competitive fiscal regime is a recipe for success. In the case of Indonesia, the upstream sector has already proven that the country's oil and gas reserves are globally significant, and studies suggest that half of the basins in Indonesia are yet to be fully explored. There is more we must do to locate and develop the necessary resources to fuel Indonesia's economic growth. On the regulatory front, we have recently seen the government of Indonesia enact omnibus law and other pro-growth fiscal initiatives. In the energy sector, it is encouraging to see the government taking action by working with companies to both resolve outstanding issues as well as to improve investment climate. We're thankful for and welcome all such reforms. These are good indicators of the strategic partnership which the government of Indonesia has established with ExxonMobil and the energy sector at large. Sustaining such partnerships require work, and I'm confident that by all parties putting in their best effort, Indonesia will achieve its stated objective of reaching 1 million barrels of oil and 12 BCFD of gas production. Thank you for your time. Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr. Irtiz Sayed, for your good sayings. Good sayings from investors is always good news for us to sustain our target to achieve 1 million barrel oil per day. And the next speakers, last but not least, we will hear from Mr. Hadi Ismoyo, Secretary General of IATMI. Pak Hadi, we journalists always learn that Indonesia is burdened with old oil wells, very expensive technology to explore new wells and to exploit more the old wells. What is your sayings about some of this? Please, Pak Hadi, your time is 5 minutes approximately. Please unmute your microphone first, Pak Hadi. All right.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to all speaker and also all the participation of the IPA conference. Okay, please have a slide presentation on the screen. Next slide, please focus on the challenge and breakthrough that we try to overview from the IATMI angle. The next slide. A little bit setback on the original concept of the 1 million barrel from the RUN and what the government doing look like is what the SKK doing with all the basic contractors is still above of the RUN. Meaning is we still have the optimistic of that. In that state look like it's okay. But the next slide please. Okay, IATMI introduced us 5 pillars with the engineering style to get the 1 million barrel of oil. First is campaign of the well program. The second is campaign of the surface bottleneck optimization. The second is how do we speed up the PUD and marginal fields. Right. 1, 2, or 3 look like it's government and SKK already doing that. It's very good job to campaign special for several mature asset like Mahakam, for example. And the 4 is UR. This is enhanced oil recovery technology It is a common technology in the world. It's not rocket science to doing this. And also government doing good job to focus in the Rokan, because Rokan is going to be 50% our target to get the 1 million barrel of oil per day. And exploration, I believe SKK also running a giant acquisition of the, I hope they're going to be get the giant discovery in the future. This is 5 pillars responsible by contractor, but 3 pillars above, it is data provider, and also the fiscal term, and also the sustainable operation. This is responsible of the government. Government should be ensured that all of that 3 pillars going to be provide with the good quality, with the good responsibility to make sure everything going to be okay. Next. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, everything that we have already in place. You have resources, you have the strategy, you have the system technology, you have good fighting partner like ExxonMobil in the front of you, and also you have a lot of the incentive. But we still lack out on the organization capability. I'm using the KPI traffic light. This is a BP style actually. So meaning green is finished is good, but yellow meaning is must be improved, because organization capabilities meaning is lateral coordination, vertical coordination, interdepartmental, also extractive should be smooth. Not only smooth, but also faster is better. Coordination between Minister of the Energy and Resources and also Mr. Finance. Why I doing this? Because we have several experience like the Mahakam project, starting in 2018 and they get approval in 2001, meaning it's 3 years. We have to improve this timing, because 3 years is consumes much time. We have to shorten than that. Maybe 1 or maybe 6 months if we can. Because target 1 million is very short time, only 9 years left. So we have to create some of the breakthroughs, loyalty for this program, not only 90% loyalty of engineer or team leader in here, but 100% loyalty from this program. Every single engineer, every single team leader should be support for this. Without that, we cannot achieve that. Another example is put tool, the system like Cleopatra is one of the good sample for the Mahakam. Put the Cleopatra is cost effectiveness and also strategic partner to rebus of the marginal field, mature field with the some combined asset. One of the production POD, and after that go to the government, sit down together to discuss about the incentive. That's great. Let's just copy paste. Just copy paste for this idea, go to the ONWG, to the OSS, or to the Pertamina AP, to looking for the another opportunity to fill that. Okay, besides that, next slide, please. We have to go to another opportunity, because our calculation look like it's still less than 1 million. We have to go, for example, we have ELISA low resistivity, 1.6 billion, almost the same with the Banyu Urip. If we can create many ways to doing that with the technology of horizontal multi-state frame, it is common technology. We have expert worldwide class, not only local class. So doing that with the 5,000, 6,000 barrel, 1,000 of the well campaign with the 5 years, you will get almost the same with the Banyu Urip to 100,000 barrel a day. Let's put this on the long-term plan. I don't see government put this on the long-term plan. Another thing is also the Natuna East. Natuna East also have the oil rim. We can do staging development from the oil rim first, after that to go to the gas. Because we also have the 12 BCF gas a day, Natuna can provide about 1 billion BCF day for contribution for the national in the future. So put LTP on the Natuna East. And then the third is about the heavy oil. I don't have slide in here, but at least heavy oil is one of the similar prospect like in Duri steam plant, because we found that on almost 50 field of the heavy oil in the Central Sumatra Basin, total about 40 billion resources, only 50% that we can identify and produce. So we still have a lot of things that to be put in on the LTP in this case. Okay, next. The conclusion is, even though you have everything, without the organization capability, without the good organization capability, coordination among stakeholders, we cannot get the target. So this is my suggestion, that organization capability need to be improved, not only just smooth communication, but faster is better. Thank you, Pak. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr. Hadi Ismoyo, for a very energetic presentation. If you are that positive, we believe that we can achieve the target of 1 million barrel oil per day. But will it be? So we will open this discussion. We have several questions, but prior to that, I would like to ask the panelists several questions before we discussing the questions came up from the participants. I would like to ask Mr. Dwi Sucipto first. Pak Dwi, as we know that we are still fighting for the pandemic COVID-19, and it really affects all factors, all parts in Indonesia. Pak Dwi, how big actually is the impact of COVID-19 and the energy transition agenda in achieving the target of 1 million barrel oil per day, or and also the gas target, Pak Dwi?
Okay. Effect in 2020 on the pandemic of COVID-19, the investment in Indonesia going down is around 27%, and the production going down around 20,000 of barrel oil per day. So actually, in our long-term plan, our production level in 2021 should be 705,000 barrel oil per day. But due to low entry point caused by COVID-19, we lost around 20,000 barrel oil per day. We will see also in this next. Yeah, next. Yeah, this is so. Of course, this is make our job harder to bring. It is like this graph, how to bring upside from the lower level that we plan actually in long-term plan. So this is the input to our long-term plan. So of course, as already presented by Pak Robert, there are many efforts that we try to make the investment economical. So the key recovery plan that we plan is intensification and acceleration, carry out more massive and aggressive work program to catch up our long-term plan. And as I already presenting in my presentation, that actually in long-term plan, the drilling. Development drilling in 2022 is 700, but so far we got until now it is already in progress, but we got more than 700. So we hope that will recover to bring up this effect. and then monetization of additional opportunities. It is like also M&K potential and additional exploration potential in exploration block and also open area. So the commercialization of our product, especially for the potential, should be done to invite the industry investing in Indonesia or in someone else with the gas from Indonesia. And then we also need this enabler, as we already mentioned. I think that what we see from the effect of pandemic, Bang Leo.
Okay, thank you, Pak Dwi. And other than COVID-19, Pak Dwi, are there another risk in reaching 1 million barrel oil per day in 2030? And have you already planned to mitigate those risks, Pak Dwi? Because as we remember, and on the next 2024, we will have political changes. We will have leadership changes. Will it be another risk to achieve the target of 1 million barrel?
One of the risks is, of course, global situation where the new and renewable energy is coming in the future. But if we see in Indonesia, fortunately that gas is energy transition, and our resource in the future pretty much come with the gas. So I think the gas there is still a big opportunity on monetize them in the future. And oil still, even that new and renewable energy in Indonesia also aggressive to develop, but the consumption of oil in the future is still very big. So in 2050, compared to today, that will be increased 130% still. So even that will go to 1 million, so it is still not enough to fulfill the Indonesian energy consumption in the future. So I think from the oil market will be no problem. That is from new and renewable energy. Of course, we are facing in the future with the price of oil, global price of oil, and second, that is very fluid, and we have to anticipate on discussing the economical of development in this oil and gas upstream. So I think the good thing currently, government will be so flexible on fiscal sum and another taxation. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dwi Sucipto. I would like to ask Mr. Mustafid on behalf of Mr. Tutuka Riaji. Pak Mustafid, some people say that we are now entering a VUCA situation, dominantly part of COVID-19 effect, but others factors also affected. Pak Mustafid, what are the government's efforts to increase the attractiveness of the bid round? You see that some bid rounds attracts not sufficient investors, including the ease of obtaining permits, Pak Mustafid, for oil and gas activities. Please, Pak Mustafid.
Yeah, thank you for your question.
Yeah.
So, in year 2020, the oil and gas working areas bid round will postpone to 2021 due to the COVID-19 pandemic global affecting the market demand and the world's crude oil price down to low price. At the same time, the government has taken intensive discussion with the stakeholders, including with IPA, to map the global market trend and formulate more attractive terms and conditions to create a better investment climate for investors. The 2021 oil and gas bid round is the response to the feedbacks obtained in this discussion. We improved the term and condition by taking into account the oil blocks risk factor, providing an open bid signature bonus without a minimum requirement, flexibility in the PSA scheme, reduce the FTP, and up to full price of. So we are also considering the existing fiscal and regulatory instruments such as the provisions of tax facilities, accelerated depreciation, and investment incentive. For aspects related to operational continuity support, we realized that the permits for upstream oil and gas for aspects such as spatial planning, environment, security, resource management, and more in cross-sectoral authorities. We appreciate the initiative of SKK Migas in providing an ODSP, One-Door Service Policy system, in early 2020. Recently, the Minister of Energy and Mineral Resources has also issued a ministerial decree for the establishment of a coordination team for the acceleration of upstream oil and gas activities permits. The team consists of cross-minister and authorities in the main licensing cluster required, which are first, spatial management, second, environmental safety, security, and engineering. The third, utilization and or use of non-oil and gas resources and infrastructure. And the fourth, utilization of resources and material from abroad. The integration of this authority is expected to speed up the licensing process, which currently requiring cross-sectoral coordination with different authorities. This is Pak Leonard.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mustafid. I would like to know also, is there any coordination, Pak Mustafid, for oil and gas offerings, so that they cover areas that have been identified as having the potential of for giant discovery? I mean, will the government prioritize those possibilities other than Mustafid?
Yes, of course, within Dirjen Migas with another institution, including SKK Migas, Geological Agency, Badan Geologi, Center of Oil and Gas Technology, Lemigas, Center of Data Information University, also another stakeholder such as IPA. The potential giant discovery as the result of the study with coordinated by SKK Migas could become technical consideration of new acreage that will offering by government.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mustafid. I would like to ask Mr. Robert from the Ministry of Finance. Mr. Robert, there have been several regulatory changes, but some say that they have not had a significant impact, Pak Robert. Other actions are needed, especially for new investors. When I'm mentioning new investors, I see a little smile in Mr. Irtiza's face. And Pak Robert, what concrete actions actually, Pak, have been and will be taken by the Ministry of Finance to support the target of 1 million barrel oil per day, or 12 BSCFD, Pak Robert? Please unmute your microphone first, Pak Robert. Sorry.
Pak Leonard, can I speak in Bahasa so my message will be clear?
Okay.
Jadi the action now for the Ministry of Finance to support the achievement of 1 billion. Now first, as we know that the incentive is a regulatory, right? So regulatory need some process. So we make two ways. First, now we encourage to DG Oil and Gas and SKK to use the existing fiscal now to maximize. So I mean the tools, all the incentive in existing, if have to be a maximized, please. So I mean, in order I mean to make a revision in a policy in form of regulation need time. So
okay,
in parallel, we encourage DG Oil and Gas to make all the tools. For example, if if the tax incentive, for example, the tax exemption is not good enough to make investment increase, maybe by the split or the profit sharing informality. So I mean, if government offer interesting profit sharing, maybe combined with other tax incentive, it will be interesting enough. So I mean, not only tax incentive, but non-tax revenues should be together. In parallel with that, now we conduct a study, and also maybe we have to change to revise the rule to make the incentive more interesting. But when make the interesting incentive, there is a frame, actually, a frame that we have to make incentive that between energy security between energy security and energy renewables can be strike balance. And the second one, the most important thing now, we are making a formula carbon trading mechanism. So it means the oil, gas, and company can contribute in climate change in Indonesia. So there will be a reward, but we still make a formula.
Yeah.
How the gas producer, for example, is cleaner than oil, for example, can get a carbon trading, carbon certificate. So they make a trading. Now we make conducting a study, and we make a formula how the oil and gas company can contribute in climate change.
Yeah.
Maybe now we will have a interaction about the oil and gas company. Thank you.
All right.
Bang Leo,
Yes.
may I add some more with the explanation from Pak Robert about especially on incentive?
Yes, you may.
Everybody become clear. Yeah.
Yes, you may. Please, Pak Dwi Sucipto.
Yes. So as we start to promote since last year, that we because of pandemic, we promote nine incentive. And I would like to report the progress that 6 incentives already approved, 3 in progress. What is the 6 is determination of fund allocation for abandonment and site ASR activities, VAT reduction or exemption of LNG transaction, kemudian exemption from this is the what you call it country asset, barang milik negara utilization fees for upstream oil and gas activities that determine or reduction of indirect taxes. Market determine pricing for volume of gas which are delivered above the take or pay quantity or DCQ, and then incentive for investment, accelerated depreciation, split change, and full price DMO. And the three still in progress is exemption of BBT if profit is or dividend is reinvested in Indonesia. Current status is following up the oil and gas policy and strategy as stipulated in the attachment of President's speech on August 16. And adjustment of 0.2 US dollar per MBTU for utilization cost of Badak LNG plant. Status need further discussion with Minister of Finance. And the third is support from ministries that foster upstream oil and gas supporting industry, steel, about steel, rig, services, and so on. And I would like to inform more about what is the result of this incentive, PUD and reserve updates. So this is incentive impact that, yeah, this is, I think all the friends know about this one. UPL 2A, UPL 3 handle, this is in the Mahakam block working area. Porel Brunang, this is Medco in Natuna Sea block deep, and Ubadari, as mentioned also by Pak Nadir, and then also this Potex Kal Mahatu, that is, and then a reserve update of field Asap, Merah, and Pido, contain oil. And then the result is additional of 465.5 million barrel oil equivalent of oil and gas reserve. Investment cost, drilling and production facility is 0.3-0.5 billion US dollar. Drilling of 88 development wells, 15 injection well, 32 reactivation well, and 1 step out well, and construction and installation of production facility. Increase and government revenue of around 2.9 billion US dollar and contractor revenue of around 1.5 billion US dollar. And this is the incremental forecast of oil and gas production affected by this incentive. Thank you, Pak.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dwi. Actually, I would like to ask you that question, but thank you for a prior answer for the question in conjunction with Mr. Robert answers. The next I would like to ask Mr. Irtiza Syed. Pak Syed, Pak Irtiza, ExxonMobil is currently the biggest oil producer in Indonesia. What are ExxonMobil's strategies, Pak Irtiza, to maintain and optimize production from Banyu Urip? You had mentioned this earlier, in line with Indonesia's oil production target, Pak.
Thank you so much, Pak Leonard, for the question. I mean, the primary and the foremost sort of emphasis for us is always on safety and safely operating the existing asset. Currently, we're the lowest cost producers with $2 a barrel cost of production at Banyu Urip. On average, Indonesia's cost of production is closer to $15, $16, $17 per barrel. So we're significantly more profitable in that sense, based on the operational integrity as well as the safe operations that we've managed for the last several years. In addition to that, what we have been doing is continuous work. I talked a little bit about this regarding the overall recovery from the field, from Banyu Urip reserves, where the original plan of development had 450 million barrels of total recovery, and inshallah we'll be reaching already 500 million by the end of this month, and target is to actually extract 940 million barrels. So this is an ongoing effort which we do obviously with our partners Pepsi and support from BKS and of course the regulators SK Migas and such. But then more importantly, what we have recently been doing this year is a well work campaign where we did some work to improve the production. We're managing the GOR as well simultaneously. And as you know, that production and management of reservoirs is an art, not necessarily much of a science. And so it's so it takes a lot of work. And most importantly, what I would say is we have had some very good discussions with SKK Migas and with ESDM regarding additional investments within the Cepu block in both increasing production, or I would say, rather than increasing production, more focused on adding more producible volume from Banyu Europe field, as well as doing additional exploration activities within the Cepu block. So I'm hopeful that we are awfully close to finalizing some of the key terms, and inshallah we can start really focusing on our drilling activities starting next year.
All right, thank you, Mr. Irtiza. The next question for you, sir. Are there any global best practices from ExxonMobil activities in other countries other than Indonesia, of course, that the Indonesian government or compare with, and applying it as an effort to improve Indonesia's competitiveness and investment climate, Pak Irtiza?
Pak Leonard, a fantastic question. And we have a great relationship with ESDM as well as with SKK Migas, and it's a real-time dialogue regarding what are some best practices that can be adopted in Indonesia to further enhance the attractiveness of investments. And I must admit that President Jokowi's government has taken, I would say, there are two approaches. One is issuing policies that actually promote the investment. I talked briefly about the omnibus law, which is really helping with ease of business. And secondly, in our experience working with the government, taking a very pragmatic approach over the last couple of years in resolving a lot of the challenges and removing the roadblocks that can be in place many times to prohibit the investment. And so I think the fiscal incentives which the government has recently talked about, they start to make the competitiveness of Indonesia a lot higher in the overall portfolio. And that ongoing dialogue through a strategic partnership that we're really pursuing in Indonesia can really unlock further opportunities in the country.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Irtiza. One last question, sir. I would like to have a concrete answer from you. What government, since we have now Mr. Tutuka represented by and also other officials, Pak Irtiza, what are ExxonMobil expectations from the government to reach the target of 1 million barrel oil per day?
Great question. It's like it's the $1 million question, and and if I had a crystal ball, I would tell you the answer. I think we have talked about some of the challenges that objective. The challenges certainly come in the form of how with the transitioning to a lower carbon emitted sort of energy source, right? Renewables. And what is that transition phase? While at the same time, the most critical question is, how does a developing country continue to provide energy to the people who need it? And how do you ensure that there's economic growth that continues to take place without hampering that development? And I do think that the government has really struck that right balance with the conversations which are happening, which we heard earlier this morning, and obviously in this panel today from the ministry, as well as obviously from Dwi Sujipto as well, regarding what SKK Migas is doing in its support for it. So what is ExxonMobil looking for? Very honestly, I talked about it briefly. It is really a better understanding of what the government's needs are and what the investors require. And the combination of the two is that, and frankly, that happens best when you have a partnership and a strategic partnership. So we can have a more, in my sort of short time in Indonesia, receptive to the together as partners rather than. So that's been a very pleasant experience for me.
All right. Thank you, Mr. I'd like to ask Mr. Hadi Ismoyo. Pak Hadi, what technologies will be used to increase production aggressively and efficiently, since we are only, I don't know, less or more than 9 years to achieve the target of 1 million barrel oil per day, Pak Hadi?
Pak Leonard, the technology is common technology that we have today, not rocket science. So if we want to have the wellbore program, as they saying, infill well, operated zone, it is a common technology that they are surrounding us. So very, very easy to get that. ELISA, kind of the special technology we call it horizontal multi-state frac, maybe 10 or 15 stages for the current production test. I believe there's 1.6 billion barrel ELISA in the ground we can achieve to get almost 200,000 barrel a day like Banyurip if we very seriously have the program. So this is a challenging technology for the multi-state frac reservoir. This is the technology that we did in the future.
Okay, thank you, Pak Hadi, for your answer. Ladies and gentlemen, participants and panelists, we have also questions from the participants. I see in my screen there are approximately 386 participants now joining our discussion, and I have several questions for each of you. The first question is I will ask this to Mr. Mustafid. Pak Mustafid, the question is this: what will the government do to accelerate the exploration activities? What will the government do to accelerate the exploration activities, Pak Mustafid?
Okay, thank you, Pak Leonard. So from the government side, of course, we will support by provide the policy that can encourage the exploration, as give a opportunity in the contractor to request the incentive, and we give some kind of sometimes the contractor need more time to conduct it or finish the. That's my answer, Pak Leonard.
Okay, thank you, Pak Mustafid. The second question will be for Mr. Dwi Sucipto. Pak Dwi.
Yes.
The question is this: is there any important milestone that need to be achieved between now to 2030 before we reach 1 million barrel oil per day and 12 BCFD gas, Pak Dwi?
Yes, Pak Leo, let's us sharing about 4 strategy on how to achieve 2030. So the milestone is not only from the production or lifting, but also the activity. Go on with the strategy. So let's say for the first strategy, that is optimize the existing operation. We have a target because drilling will be reflected how we utilize, we optimize the existing asset. This is the target. We have each year until 2030 the amount of well that we have to drill every year, and okay, that is important milestone. And then the second about second strategy that is about how to achieve our reserve, to assure our reserve replacing what we produce, and also maximize economic recovery through OPL, OPLL, where status in the July 2000 is like what we have. So every year we have a target that, and which field that we have to develop, we already have. And then also a POD approval of undeveloped structure. We also going that. It's like what Ubadari for Forel achieved this year. And then the next and then third strategy is EOR. As we see in the presentation, that Rokan will be the biggest hope until 2030, and then others is like Pertamina IPA and so on. And we have each year as we know that to implementing the EOR, there are 4 steps in the process, and each year which field, which block, and then what is the progress to achieve in that year we have here. And the next, so it is like a focus. Our focus is Wekarokan. As we mentioned, estimation of POD Minas Chemical War phase 1 will be December 21 as approved. So if we in the December 2021, of course that will be delayed and then influence the production in 2030. And then study for re-evaluating of existing POD and new steam flood project is on progress and will be finalized in Q3 2022. As well as water flood in the Mahakam, field trial polymer in the Pertamina EP. So we have a program, we have activity every year. That is our milestone. Next. So the last is about exploration. Yeah, this is as an example how we monitor the candidate of EOR field and what is the milestone of the progress each year. And next. So in the last, of course, there are many details, but we don't want to spend more time. But in the exploration, this is our long-term planning on the exploration, as we mentioned here. So exploration activity in 2021, what is this 15 well and so on, progress, and then that is from 2021 to 2022 what we have to do, 23, 25, and then after 2025, 28, that is the milestone for the fourth strategy that we prepare on road to 1 million barrel per day in 2030. Thank you, Pak Bang Leo.
All right, thank you, Pak Dwi. Very comprehensive answer for the milestone before we reach our 2030 target. The next question will be for Mr. Robert from the Ministry of Finance. Pak Robert, the participant question is like this. Considering 2030 is a very short timeline in oil and gas, when those fiscal incentives mentioned by you earlier will be issued by the Ministry of Finance, will it be this year or early next year, or maybe twice a year? Robert, please answer.
Thank you, Pak. This question actually I cannot say this year or next year because we have to collaborate, right, with the other minister how to formulate the best way to encourage the oil and gas investment.
Mm.
In line with that, actually, we realize that besides that, oil and gas is one of the engine of the economy, and also in our budget have a limitation. Means that in 2023 we have to come back to the deficit 3%. So in our national budget. So that's why we have to be carefully to choose what the best investment that make a multiplier for the oil and gas. So we still have a discussion now.
Yeah.
So I cannot say when, but yeah, we hope next year we have a policy, a good policy to encourage the oil and gas investment.
Thank you, Pak Robert, for your honest answer. The next question will be for Mr. Irtiza from ExxonMobil. Irtiza, the question is, will Exxon do more exploration for gas in Indonesia? Indonesia has set the 12 BCFD target, and ExxonMobil has also set the target to reduce emission, not mentioning the strategy to curb more new and renewable energy. Will it be more prioritization for gas instead of oil, or what will your answer, Pak Irtiza?
So Pak Leonard, for at a global scale, ExxonMobil's global portfolio, particularly our overall global reserves, our gas reserves are higher or greater than our total oil reserves. And over the coming years, the mix or the shift of how oil and gas is produced in the portfolio is evolving, and it's mainly a driver of the economics. The oil and gas is being produced. In Indonesia specifically, as I mentioned in my remarks earlier, that there are metrics that we obviously take a look at regarding the competitiveness and attractiveness of certain developments, either that be oil or gas, and the attractiveness ultimately drives that development. Simultaneously, earlier this year, we announced the formation of a new organization within ExxonMobil called Low Carbon Solutions Value Chain Company. And the focus of this enterprise is to focus on low carbon solutions, and where we are focused on CCS, you look at obviously the hydrogen value chain and other low carbon emission technologies within our overall global portfolio. And again, as I mentioned, the challenge, how does the world transition to a renewable or a greener energy source? And each country has to follow a different pace depending on where it is on its own development cycle. So for example, developed economies' ability to adopt some of the renewable sources may be faster, or absorb more natural gas may be a lot faster, versus a developing country where you potentially are potentially looking at maybe a longer cycle before it turns totally green, and how the change in the gas mix takes place. And so for us, the objective is to continue to identify the most attractive locations where we don't just have the geology or the attractive rocks, but also countries in which we have ease of doing business, and the policy and the regulatory framework continue to attract investments from ourselves.
Okay, Thank you, Mr. Urtiza. The next question I will ask Mr. Hadi Ismoyo. Pak Hadi Ismoyo, you mentioned change and improve the organization in the government to achieve the target of 1 million barrel oil per day or 12 BCFD gas. Do you see, Pak Hadi, organization improvement is being done now?
Okay. What I see under my perspective look like is the organization capability in lateral and vertical coordination among inter and department and austral department is still slow. For example, I not mention about the ASC contract company, but at least one of the company right now is have the propose one of the incentive. Very good incentive basically that they propose, and they can have the gain almost 60 to 100 million barrels of oil with the additional of the production. But several months already they have the discussion with the ministerial energy and also go to the Minister of the Finance, still lack up the communication. So because 1 million barrel a day is very ambitious target. So every single engineer, every single ministerial also should be know what the target is. The target is ambitious, so everybody should understand that support this target, even to the minister level of the chief minister. From the government side, also support the regulation and the production sharing contract, also support for the technology and cost effectiveness. From side by side, they have to engage to get progress, not only smooth progress, not only smooth the communication, but also faster, because time is money. If we have delay decision process, very long decision process, Pak Artiza go to another country to invest the money, for example. Because we compete with the worldwide industry, not only Indonesia industry. This is my answer. Must be, every single layer should be transform mentality to go faster and good coordination, good leadership. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pak Hadi. This next question came from my blood brother. The participant name is Samuel Melfern Samosir. I haven't known you, sir, but it's really glad to see another Samosir in this session. And this question is for Mr. Dwi Sucipto. Pak Dwi, Mr. Samosir asked you, we want to know which field will be the main priority to get 1 million barrel oil per day in 2030, Pak Dwi?
Yeah, if we are talking priority, so we are talking which one is the biggest. Of course, Project Abadi Masela will be one of them, because from Abadi Masela we got oil. It is around 200,000 barrel a day. So that is the biggest. And then if you are talking from the its strategy, as we mentioned in the strategy number 3, EOR, our biggest hope is from Rokan, that is from Minas field, and for from the exploration strategy, we have 5 focus on the development exploration. That of course this is will be completed data after seismic. That is the longest seismic in the sea area. It is 32,000. So that it is November will be open the data after current currently processing in Pertamina, and then November will be publicly and then open for all of the investor. And then we will promote and selling the opportunity on the exploration with 5 area. It is in our focusing for the short term. And the long term, there are 10 and plus 2 working area that we are promoting for exploration in Indonesia in the long term planning. I think that's Bang Leo. Thank you.
Baik, very nice. Thank you, Pak Dwi, for your answer. The next question I would like to ask to and also Pak Robert after Mustafid answer. The question is, first of all, it is really encouraging to hear all panelists are optimistic to achieve the 1 million barrel oil per day target and also 12 BCFD gas in 2030. But to achieve this, requiring support from other government departments as well, not only from oil and gas or migas, contractors or players, but as we all know, each government departments or ministries or bodies will have their own priorities. How do you see the alignment, the cooperation so far? How they support this target? Pak Mustafid?
Okay, Pak. Thank you, Pak Leonard. Yeah. First, regarding about that, our minister already asked to the financial minister to get some supporting for the incentive to upstream activity. In our side, in KSDM, now is also organizing an exploration team that will be assisted by scientific experts from the experience of oil and gas industry practitioners. So, so to the external, to the another minister, we have to improve our coordination to get some kind of support, like from Minister Financial. And in internal, we have established some kind of team that consists of the member from another minister that have a relation to activities of oil and gas regarding to the permission like KLHK, Hubla, KKP, and others. So we hope that from this can support our activities in exploration.
All right. Thank you, Pak Mustafid. Pak Robert, can you please answer the same question, Pak, since you told us earlier that your ministry has the obligation to maintain the healthiness of our state fiscal and budget. Added, how do you see the alignment of different or various government departments to achieve the target of 1 million barrel oil per day, Pak Robert?
Okay, actually, Pak, investment incentive requested actually not only from oil and gas, all the sector now needs incentive. So we have a make balance, we have a make prioritize so that the budget fiscal is healthy and also the economy is grow, right? So how the alignment in between Minister of Finance and Minister of ESDM to achieve that? Simple, Pak. Actually now Minister of Finance now, one of the member committee, SKK Migas oversight committee in SKK Migas. So I mean, in high level, between, there is a meeting periodically between Ministry of VSTM, Head of SKK Migas, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Lingkungan Hidup, Ministry BKPM, periodically meet together to discuss about the progress of oil and gas, the hurdle of investment in oil and gas, and the high level try to find a solution. And for, if I'm not mistaken, 3 or 4 months they meet together. In a technical, we are one of members in Director General of Oil and Gas to follow how to formulate the best incentives. Now we always meeting to find the solution how to the bottleneck the investment and how Minister of Finance contribution to the bottleneck. So I mean now we are aligned right now.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Robert, for your answer. The next question is, I believe, for Mr. Irtiza. Pak Irtiza, you mentioned that ExxonMobil will drill a well next year. Is it the well in the Cepu area, Banyu Urip, or is it in different area outside the Cepu block for exploration, Pak Irtiza?
Pak Leonard, we are finalizing some of the key terms for a drilling campaign that we're looking to do within the Cepu block. We're finalizing the details of this with SKK Migas and with ESDM. Once they're finalized, we will start the planning of the drilling campaign next year or immediately. So the physical wells will not get drilled next year, but soon thereafter the physical wells will be drilled. But the planning for the activity and the ordering of the long lead time items, the planning for that will begin earnestly or practically the day we finalize the deal. And the activity is all within the Cepu block. All right. Thank you, Mr. Irtiza. Pak Dwi Sucipto, the question is for you. What is SKK Migas or government's view on Indonesia's current LNG production capability development, and also view on the global LNG market, Pak Dwi?
Okay, Bang Leo, I would like to share some material. This is actually to make our comment is objective. We take the data from IHS market. This is about long-term global energy demand outlook December that is December 2020. So where as we understand before that we understand that gas will be energy transition. So the demand of gas will be continue increase at least first until 2050, and then as mentioned this by IHS market that 3% per year average growth from 2020 to 2040, and price, and we are talking about the price. This is also come from IHS market that there are Asian term, Brent parity, and PF, Henry Hub, and Asian spot. That most of them are still optimistic about the price, as of course reflecting by the demand still increase, So I think that the price of LNG will be still good. Thank you, Pak Panglima.
Thank you, Pak Dwi Sucipto.
Leonard,
Yes.
maybe I could just add maybe a comment or two on LNG, given I spent the last 3 years in the LNG business before coming to Indonesia.
Yes,
I was just going to add that Indonesia is really uniquely located or placed from a geographic perspective when it comes to LNG. As Pa Dwi was highlighting, you know, the global projections for the next 30 years or so is that 75% of LNG demand will be in Asia Pacific. And so you could just imagine that the competitiveness of supplies coming out of Indonesia for this Asia Pacific market are very, very attractive. So China demand or demand in Japan, Korea, Taiwan, and other markets in the region. Similarly, in the same region, the power demand is even greater, 80% growth in the power demand in this region, Southeast Asia. And again, Indonesia's ability to meet some of those requirements are also quite economic from a geographic location perspective. So Indonesia is like brilliantly located to meet a lot of the LNG demand in Asia Pac.
All right, thank you, Mr. Irtiza, for your added answer. I mean, instead of conclude our discussion, I would like to ask each of you, our distinguished speakers, for your each closing statement, how we reach our target of 1 million barrel oil per day, and also for the gas. Is it achievable? How should be done? But only in a very short closing statement. For the first one, I would like to ask Pak Mustafid Gunawan in the representation of Mr. Tutuka Aryaji. For closing statement, sir.
Okay, Pak. Thank you, Pak. I think from the government side, this target are still realistic and achievable, but we should have some kind of cooperation and collaboration with the contractor and the SKK Migas. It's okay. It's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Pak Mustafid Gunawan. And your closing statement, Pak Dwi Sucipto, please.
With the government requirement and the spirit and the understanding of the investor, I'm optimist to this target because reserve is already there. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Dwi Sucipto. And your closing statement, please, Mr. Robert.
Despite of that, many members' skepticism, we are in the government side still optimistic, Pak, with the situation right now. So MOF we try to support with the regulation that how the investment will continue. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Robert. And Mr. Irtiza, please, your closing statement, sir.
So, in my opinion, the energy sector has been solving the world's most challenging for decades, and Indonesia particularly has led the charge in innovating things like the production sharing contract, which did not exist globally, or the fact that Indonesia was one of the first countries and taught the world how to have long-term LNG sales contracts or to secure the financing. So innovation when it comes to Indonesia is in the blood and it's in the DNA of the people here. And in my opinion, if anybody can solve these challenges, it's through partnerships between the investors and the Indonesian government and the people of Indonesia who can solve this challenge. And never say never, right? I think the resource base is there, the willingness and the desire I sense that is there, and it's really through strategic partnerships is the best chance to achieve those objectives.
All right, thank you, Mr. Irtiza. Pak Hadi, your closing statement, sir, please.
Okay, I agree with Pak Ertija. It's very, very challenging. Still okay, but with not with professional organization capability to achieve that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pak Hadi Ismoyo. So, ladies and gentlemen, the participant of the discussion of the plenary session 1, convention and exhibition, this will conclude our session. We would like to say thank you to Mr. Tutuka Aryaji and also Pak Mustafid Gunawan for representing Pak Tutuka, and also Pak Dwi Sucipto. Thank you for your comprehensive answers, and also Pak Robert for representing the Ministry of Finance. And I would like to thank also Mr. Irtiza Zayed for your smile and answers, sir. And also, last but not least, I would like to thank Mr. Hadi Ismoyo for being here. And this session is now being concluded, ladies and gentlemen. We would like to extend our gratitude also to all speakers, committees, and all of audience. And I would like to specifically thank Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources of the Republic of Indonesia, ESDM, Special Task Force for Upstream Oil and Gas Business Activities of the Republic of Indonesia, SKK Migas. And I also would like to thank the sponsors, the platinum sponsor Pertamina, the gold sponsors Medco Energi Indonesia, BP Indonesia, Schlumberger, Mubadala Petroleum, silver sponsor Inpex, Premier Oil, Petronas, ExxonMobil, Chevron, and bronze sponsor Repsol. Many thanks to all of their support and cooperation in making this event a grand success. And I would like to wish you all to stay safe. Please take care. And this is the end of our session this afternoon. I'm Leonard Samosir, sign off. Thank you.
Platinum sponsor Pertamina melalui Pertamina Hulu Subholding Upstream. Gold sponsors BP Indonesia, Mubadala Petroleum, Medco Energi, Schlumberger. Silver sponsors Chevron, ExxonMobil, Inpex, Petronas, Premier Oil, A Harbor Energy Company. Bronze sponsor Repsol, supported by Indonesian Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources and Special Task Force for Upstream Oil and Gas Business Activities. Organized by Indonesian Petroleum Association and co-organized by Diandra Promosindo.